Good afternoon and welcome to this episode of Techy Tuesday. Today are just going to be a few reminders about the gradebook and how we need to make sure everything's set up properly, so if we are using that Schoology, our grades are syncing correctly, and also in PowerSchool to ensure that we have everything set up and we know how to enter those grades. So I'll start off here in Schoology. I'll navigate to my courses. And my course doesn't have any assignments in it, but I will show you this just as an example. You have to make sure you have gone through the grade setup process if you want your grades to sync over into PowerSchool. They will sync, but they have to be set up correctly. If you haven't set it up correctly, it's not going to sync. You also have to make sure that every assignment the date of it falls in the correct grading period. So if you don't have the dates just right, it will not sync properly. So first things first, in Schoology, go to the grade setup. We have all of our quarters here marked, but one thing you want to note is I haven't set up the categories for this class, so I need to make sure that I set up my major and minor. So this is going to be major. I'm going to create that, and then I'm going to create minor. I'm going to create that. And then once I create the major and minor, I have to make sure that the categories are weighted. So if you do not do this, the grade books will not match up and your kids will be going, what happened to my grade? I thought I had this. Well, you have to make sure to weight the grade. So this is done. So my major and minor categories are now set up. The other thing you have to make sure you have gone and done is selected the PowerSchool app over here in Schoology. So once you have selected the PowerSchool app, you will then make sure that you map your categories from your Schoology courses to the PowerSchool categories. That way they go correctly. And then once I've done this, and I also want to make sure I check automatically shorten assignment titles. I'll save the changes. Now my configuration has been set up, and if I had any grades, I could sync them over into PowerSchool. And I would see the action and the status here of each one. If I needed to sync them, I would just select here and it would sync. One other thing is when creating the assignments in Schoology, when you add the materials and create the assignment, all assignments had to be entered before December 14th. December 14th. That is so we have a grading period for the exam if you're in high school. So all of the due dates need to be before the 14th. The 14th or before. And you need to make sure that those categories are major or minor on those assignments when you create them. This will allow them to sync. And also make sure to sync if this is what you were trying to do and sync your grades over. That will help out tremendously when you do that. If you don't make sure that your dates are correct and your categories aren't set, you're not going to be able to sync correctly. Even if you selected first quarter here, if the date was here, it would sync to the second quarter. Or if you selected second quarter here, but it had a date of sometime back in October before the grading period change, if I selected that, it still, see, it says the due date falls outside the selected grading period. So it has to fall between December 7th and it actually is December 14th. So this needs to be updated. I'll make sure that that is updated. But it has to fall in that area to sync correctly into PowerSchool. Now I'll show you a little bit more. I'll share the video again about how to ensure your exam grades for high school are entered correctly in PowerTeacher Pro. Thank you for joining us today. Hello, the purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to enter final exam grades in PowerTeacher Pro. I will first click PowerTeacher Pro underneath my class of choice. Then once in PowerTeacher Pro, I will automatically be in quarter 2. To enter the exam grade, you will go to X1 term. One thing to note is that all grades for Q2 must be entered before the date of 12/14. Even if the assignment is given after 12/14, please enter the date of 12/14 or earlier on the assignment, as 12/15 and 12/16 are no longer part of the term because that is part of the exam 1 grading period. So to enter the grade for the final exam, I will enter the X1 term. Then I'll go to the A+ grading charm and select score sheet. You will enter a direct grade entry for this for the exam. No need to create an assignment for this. So all you have to do is click in the box next to the student's name, enter the grade, and then if you have a student who is an exempt and will not be taking the exam, please mark it as exempt. Do not leave any blanks here. They either need to have a grade or an exempt mark next to their name. Once you have done this, be sure to hit save and then select the settings cog to recalculate final grades. You can also select advanced options to refresh any assignment scores. Then I will select recalculate. Now I can go over to the S1 term and I will see what the student's grade is for this class. This should be recalculated as well after you have entered the final exam grade. So make sure to recalculate. And this should, in your S1, should average your quarter 1, your quarter 2, and the exam 1 grade together. It should equal out to 40, 40, and 20% for the exam. That is how the grades will calculate. I hope this information helps you in calculating your grades and entering the final exams. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Education Technology Department or your school's assigned analyst. Thank you again. Once again, thank you for joining us on this episode of Techy Tuesday. I hope this information has helped you prepare for the end of the grading term. Thanks again. Bye.